second day here at Nordic Game, and we're now here together with Saku Lehtinen from Remedy. And when we were recording this, it's about 2 weeks left until Alan Wake is released. It's been 5 years. How does that feel?
Well, it's actually hard to put on words and to sort of understand exactly that now it's coming to an end. I was holding the press copy a couple of days ago in my hand, the physical object with the cover and everything. The final prints haven't come out where the disc also has all the labeling and everything. They haven't come to my hands yet, but that somehow made me feel that, oh boy, it's actually there. But in many ways this getting it done phase have gone for a while. We already ended the development a couple of months back, then the final kind of testing period, and then all those processes, the marketing which is related to that. So in that way there wasn't that clear moment of like now it's done, except maybe yesterday and maybe the good party which we had with the folks at the office, like when it's done. Well, now it's done. A big bottle of champagne.
How has the art, you're the art director of the project, how has the art changed, or how has it developed since you guys started to work on Alan Wake?
Well, I think the trend goes back already to our previous games, Max Payne games. The art of the consoles these days, the game consoles and PCs are so powerful that with enough fitting work involved, you can really fit quite amount of content into that, and that further kind of leads to the fact that you have a lot of content to produce, and it becomes more and more multi-field professional areas. Like you have motion capture, which is a big task, and you go to New York to do it on a period of 2-3 weeks. You have facial motion capture, you have outsourcing somewhere working for you, maybe, or some in-game models, etc. So there's so much work going into that. So from the start all the way to the end of the project, where the scope is usually the largest, where you have the most freelancers and everything is sort of coming together from that kind of smaller group which we were at the time after Max Payne 2 was finished, and when we started prototyping and developing the concept. So obviously the bandwidth growth has been the most notable kind of change.
How was it to go from a dark noir kind of tale that we have in Max Payne games to a more kind of a Twin Peaks-esque art direction for Alan Wake?
Well, I've said it before, you can't work 5 years. With Max Payne 1 we worked for 4 years, and then 2 years, 7 years in total with the man, and then 5 years now with Wake, and you can't do it that long if you're not really jazzed and excited about the base concept yourself. So what we do is we take inspiration from what we like, usually possibly in other medium, not necessarily games, but for instance, in this case, thriller movies, which often involve spruce trees, lone standing huts near the lake somewhere up in the north, maybe in the Pacific Northwest area. You have many movies, thriller movies, you have Secret Window, you have TV series like Twin Peaks, Northern Exposure even, which isn't a thriller type at all, but it's an ensemble cast and located in a kind of idyllic town. So all these things kind of boil together, and you find the fun there, stuff what you entertains you, and then if you are careful about it and create a game which takes the best parts of those and creates a unique new kind of experience, that's the sort of the journey you have there.
Yeah, because we're talking here about quite a lot of realism, But then, of course, Alan Wake has a supernatural moment as well. How do you mix that when it comes to the art?
Well, that's been one of the most difficult design challenges, because when you have a more familiar ground, like let's say a science fiction or a fantasy game, there immediately certain things start coming, like here's the wizard, or here's your spacesuit, or here's the ray gun, etc. So creating a thriller required a lot of thinking of what, because this is not a horror game. A horror would usually in games means buckets of blood and what have you, kind of a lot of guts and gore. Here you have sort of kind of you move into more inside your head realm. So how we approached it was through the main character. The appearance of the world is very realistic and very authentic, but then there is this layer of supernatural, which is very much sort of what happens in Alan Wake's head. And well, much like Max Payne was a sort of film noir. It's like a New York with the film noir approach. Everything's a bit darker, it's a bit grittier. Here we have the trees are maybe a little bit larger, the lights hurt your eyes a little more because the light is the key gameplay element. So that kind of thematical basis then easily direct your art choices.
Looking at, for example, Alan Wake, and one of the games that we've seen quite a lot of discussions on the internet about that people keep likening Alan Wake to would be Heavy Rain, mostly since both of them are exclusives for different platforms. And Alan Wake has a very movie-like feel to it. Heavy Rain definitely have a movie-like theme to it. And of course, there's a lot of discussions around that. Is this the way games should go? Is this the future of the medium? When you took inspiration from movies and from television series, how far do you think you could go before, I don't know, losing the game core, so to speak?
Yeah, we had in here we had a good talk about one of the producer of Heavy Rain also, and he spoke about the difference of the movies and games. In my opinion, this journey needs to be like each art form. A book is a very simple to produce, you write stuff, but the content becomes the key. A movie has much more things, but you have conventions, you have main character, you need to take care, you need to care about the character, interested about the development in the movie, and it's about 2 hours of, that's the sort of the shape. And a game can be way longer. That's, by the way, one of the reasons why we sort of take a TV series at least as much our kind of starting point or inspiration as we take movies, because that's way longer and more kind of fitting medium to match a longer game like this. But you don't take any of these other mediums per se, or you shouldn't, at least, in my opinion. A game is where players do things, they are active. And you don't want to mess about that. And if you go in and start making like sort of stupidly think about that, hey, here's a movie, so let's show this picture and I want to see a close-up right now, etc. If you start bouncing the camera around from general picture to close-up, the players are going to be like, hey, let me play. I have no idea what's happening. I'll put the controller away. I put the game to the shelf. You need to understand the medium which you have and just take the elements and like strip them down to the bare essence, and then try to figure out how that works in your medium, games in this case, and makes a sort of a best possible gaming experience.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yes. All right.